Get ready for a mind-blowing discovery from the heart of Brazil. You're probably picturing lush Amazon rainforests and breathtaking scenery when you think about this incredible country. But what if I told you there's so much more to uncover? The history of Brazil stretches back thousands of years, hiding secrets waiting to be unearthed. And boy, has that just happened. A 9,000-year-old prehistoric body has been found amazingly well preserved in Brazil, sending shockwaves around the world. Let's dive into this astonishing discovery and uncover what it means. Join us on an exciting journey through Brazil, where the secrets of the past are slowly rising to the surface. You might have already heard about a human skull that's been making headlines at the National Museum. This mysterious relic had been hiding in storage for 20 long years, but Brazilian scientists decided it was time to give it some serious attention. After thorough examination, they made an incredible claim. This ancient cranium is officially recognized as the oldest ever discovered in the Western Hemisphere, and it's sending shockwaves through the scientific community. Get ready for a blast from the past. Meet Lucia, an incredible piece of history that's been waiting in the shadows for decades. Unearthed back in '74 by a French-Brazilian team on an epic archaeological adventure near Belo Horizonte, this ancient skull was quietly tucked away, until now. 20 years in storage might have made us forget its importance, but trust us, all of that is about to change. The world's ready for Lucia to take center stage and blow the lid off some seriously old theories. Imagine stumbling upon an old secret hiding spot, a rock shelter where early humans sought refuge. That's exactly what happened in Brazil back in '74, and it led to an extraordinary find. The conditions were harsh, yet the ancient bones inside this natural haven were shockingly well preserved. Although some pieces were missing their perfect fit, Lucia's skull stood out intact and full of secrets about our ancestors' physical world. But here's what really blows our minds. These remains were buried so deep underground, a whopping 6,000 years into the past. The fact that they survived this long is nothing short of amazing, making Lucia an absolute game-changer in the world of anthropology. You won't believe where these ancient secrets were hiding. Lucia's remains were buried under a massive 40-foot thick layer of mineral deposits and debris, essentially frozen in time. This incredible depth tells us that over thousands of years, powerful geological forces and layers upon layers of sediment had built up, protecting the site from harm. And that's what preserved this remarkable find for us to discover today. But here's the cool part. Unearthing Lucia's story was no easy feat. It took a lot of digging and detective work to piece together the clues and uncover the secrets hidden within her remains. Get ready for a blast from the past. In 2013, scientists used a super cool technique called radiocarbon dating to figure out when our star, Lucia, lived. They took charcoal samples from the layer of sediment surrounding her bones and got an amazing result. Lucia was around 10,030 years old. That's roughly 11,243 to 11,710 years ago, which makes her part of the oldest human skeletons discovered in the Americas. But wait, there's more. By analyzing Lucia's remains, scientists were also able to determine that she passed away as a young adult, likely in her early 20s. Let's get up close and personal with Lucia. Standing at just under 5 feet tall, she was pretty much average height for someone living way back then. What we do know is that about 1/3 of her skeleton has been found, giving us a partial but awesome look into what made her tick. Scientists think Lucia probably died around 20 years young, likely due to an accident or animal attack. But don't worry, she was otherwise super healthy and strong. By examining her skeletal characteristics, researchers have been able to make some pretty cool educated guesses about her lifestyle and the culture she belonged to. So, what kind of community did Lucia call home? Well, it seems like she lived with a group of hunter-gatherers, folks who relied on hunting for food and gathering whatever nature had to offer. This way of life was totally normal back in the day, and it's actually how humans spent most of their time before they started growing crops. Now, you might think that Lucia didn't get to experience much because she died young, but trust us, these hunter-gatherers knew how to live life to the fullest. Here's what's really cool. 1. When Lucia's remains were found in Vermella Cave, there were flint tools nearby, and it was just her alone in the cave. This means that Lucia might have had a super unique spot or ritual surrounding her burial. leaving us with even more questions about this fascinating young woman. But then disaster hit. In 2018, a massive fire ripped through the National Museum in Brazil, leaving everyone thinking that they'd lost Lucia for good. But wait. Firefighters made an incredible find amidst all the ashes. Despite the damage, Lucia's skull had survived, and although it was cracked into pieces, around 80% of those fragments were still identifiable. We're talking about parts of her forehead, nose, and cheekbones. To top that off, a vital piece of her femur bone also managed to make it out unscathed. It just goes to show that sometimes, even in the face of disaster, there's hope for uncovering more secrets from our past. So what did Lucia really look like? Let's dive into it. Her skull had some seriously unique traits. Think narrow and oval in shape with a pointy face and a prominent chin. These weren't your typical Native American or indigenous Siberian characteristics, that's for sure. But when scientists compared her features to other ancient populations, they found some cool connections. It turns out Lucia's facial structure shares similarities with the people of indigenous Australia, Melanesia, and even Southeast Asia's Negritos. This is like uncovering a missing link in our understanding of human migration patterns and how different groups evolved over time. Pretty mind-blowing, right? Now we're getting into the juicy stuff. Ancient migration patterns and potential connections between far-flung human populations. You've probably heard that early Americans came from Northeast Asia via the Bering Land Bridge during the last ice age. But here's the exciting part. Lucia's features might just append this long-held theory. Anthropologist Walter Neves thinks her facial structure is more similar to Australian Aboriginal peoples than any other group, which raises some wild possibilities, like a shared ancestry between South America and Australasia. This could completely flip our understanding of early human migrations and interactions. It's time to rethink the map of how our ancestors spread out across the globe. So, let's dive deeper into this mind-blowing idea, the Beringian migration model, which basically says that all early Americans came from one major migration event across the Bering Land Bridge. But what if this wasn't the only way humans arrived in the Americas? If Walter Neves and his Brazilian team are right, Lucia's features hint at a much more complex history of human migrations. They propose that our ancestors might have taken multiple routes to reach different parts of the world, not just a single journey from Asia to the Americas. This would mean rethinking everything we thought we knew about how humans first populated the globe. And get this, they even suggest that some Paleo-Indians, like Lucia's predecessors, could have spent tens of thousands of years in Southeast Asia after leaving Africa. Whoa, it looks like a lot of our history just got turned upside down. Here's the deal. These Brazilian anthropologists are suggesting that humans may have started showing up in the Americas way earlier than we thought, possibly as far back as 15,000 years ago. And what's wild is they believe their ancestors were hanging out in Southeast Asia for a long time before making the journey across the Pacific. This could mean that these early populations developed super distinct cultures and ways of life during this extended stay. Think like totally unique tech, clothing, and even food sources. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, isn't there proof of humans being in the Americas way earlier than that? Well, yes. The Monteverde site in Chile is actually considered the oldest confirmed human settlement in the Americas, dating back around 4,000 years to when Lucia's predecessors were supposedly just arriving. This discovery totally supports the idea that humans were already living in the New World a whole lot earlier than we thought. Mind blown, right? Now let's dive into some theories about how these early populations might have made it to the Americas. One idea is that folks from East Asia used boats to sail along a bunch of islands in the Pacific, then followed the coast down through what's now Alaska and eventually landed on the west coast of the New World. This would have been around the time when glaciers were melting super fast, creating new land bridges and routes. But here's the thing, not everyone agrees with this theory or the date that Walter Neves and André Prost came up with for Lucia's remains back in 1988. Some other scientists like Rolando Gonzalez Jose, Frank Williams, and William Armalagos have actually taken a closer look at Lucia's bones and, well, we're still waiting to see what they found out. You won't believe what happened next. The scientists Rolando Gonzalez Jose, Frank Williams, and William Armalagos dug deeper into Lucia's skull, and they think her unique features might just be a result of normal genetic changes and environmental factors that affect how our faces and skulls develop in Native American groups. So, it's possible that Lucia wasn't part of some special ancestral group from Australo-Melanesia after all. But hold up, because just as we thought we knew the story, new research dropped in 2018 from a team at the University of Sao Paulo and Harvard University. They used fancy DNA sequencing tech to analyze Lucia's genetic profile, and guess what? It turns out she was totally Amerindian, with roots tracing back to Native American populations. This also suggests that there might have been some hidden connections or shared ancestry between these ancient folks and other groups in different parts of the Americas. Mind blown, right? Now that we've shaken things up with Lucia's story, let's put on our detective hats. We thought human migration patterns were pretty well established, but could it be that Lucia is the tip of an iceberg? Are there other ancient secrets waiting to be uncovered about how humans moved around the world? What do you think? Was Lucia a one-in-a-million find, or does she point us towards a whole new chapter in human history? Share your theories with us in the comments below. If you're as excited as we are, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more thrilling edutainment adventures like this one. That's all for today, folks. Thanks for joining me on this fascinating journey through human history. We've got many more exciting discoveries waiting just